All right, hello. I thought I should do a video addressing it's really dealing with um, what we would call, what some people would call the sheeple. Yeah, the people that follow along with the system's orders. Yeah, and it's um, the people that become the Agent Smith characters, the people that just blindly, the zombies, right? I don't know how else to explain it, but those people, yeah, the people that you would really like them to wake up, but they, for whatever reason, they're stuck where they're at, right? What's led me, well, I mean, I keep seeing stuff all the time, but of course, there was a video just a few weeks ago, I think, by a guy called Will Powell's. You probably may, or you've probably not heard of this guy because he's a smaller, I say a smaller channel. He's a small, big channel, and he does like renewable solar stuff reviews and looking at the latest and greatest solar panels and batteries and that kind of stuff. So I watch him because I'm off grid, and you know I'm interested in that stuff. So um, anyway, I guess he got fed up of people um, commenting about you shouldn't be buying all your stuff from you're doing your reviews on and that from China all the time. And I guess that upset him a little bit. Um, and so he had a bit of a rant, and rightly so, have his little rant. Um, and basically, what came out of the rant was, you know, stop being over entitled. Stop being fat. Stop being lazy. Go out and learn the stuff yourself. Um, and basically, that's what came out of that video. Stop whining about your situation and go and do something about it. Yeah. So the guy's intelligent. He's recognized what the problem is. you know, and he's pointed that out. Very good. And he said, just get off your ass and go and sort it out. Well, that's all very well, but we're the problem with that rant was, and the problem that I see with a lot of people, a lot of truther people, the truther crowd going on about the zombies out there, is that um, we can, you hear them saying, "Oh, they're not gonna, make me take a shot, and they're not gonna, yada yada yada," because it's not really old Fauci or whoever that comes along. It's an average everyday guy that's going to turn around, and that is doing the Agent Smith character role of trying to force you to do something you don't want to do, right? And so it's a similar situation with this guy's rant about people that are lazy and all the rest of it, and Truthers dealing with, you know, the other side of, you know, the people that, belong to the Matrix still. And so, how do we deal with those people? That's the thing. Are you just going to go gung ho and just say, stop doing that? You shouldn't be doing it. And I'm going to slap you if you do anything to me, sort of thing. That attitude. Does that solve anything? I don't think that solves anything, right? What you got to remember is, um, we're all to blame. Unless you was off in the woods somewhere living like a bloody chimpanzee, we're all to blame for the problem. We've all indulged in, you know, the benefits of the system at some point. You can, I don't want to even argue with people on that. At some point, you've indulged in, what the system has to offer, right? So we're all to blame for the problems, yeah, because it's that very system that has caused the problems, and the indulgence in it is what creates the system. So, we've kind of got to take a little bit of responsibility for what we've created here, for the monster that we've created. And unfortunately, the people that we've got to deal with now are still stuck there in that system, you know, trying to force their views on us, now, and trying to force, what they want to see happen. And so, anyway, back to the guy talking about the, being overweight and being this, that, and the other, right? Because these two things overlap. Because what we've got is we've got a bunch of people that are basically what is correctly identified as being addicted to the system, yeah? And these are the zombies that are still stuck in the system. Unfortunately, right, you cannot, to treat these people like they're not human, yeah, they're not acting human right now, but to treat them like they're not human, and you'll hear like Matt talking on Quantum of Conscience, these people are not, they're not the same as you and I, I'm guessing I'm speaking to the, preaching to the converted here or whatever, but, they're not quite the same. They're almost like, and you hear the term, non-player entity or whatever the hell people call them, NPCs or MCP, oh, NPCs, non-player character, whatever it is. So, I like to call them Agent Smith characters, right? They just parrot back what they've heard from the system, basically, and they're just acting on their own fears right now, yeah, because they're afraid of something. They just parrot back what the system says will alleviate their fear. Everybody goes out and gets the jab. All of a sudden, you don't have to worry anymore, right? So that they go out and they preach that for the system. That's what they do, right? What you're dealing with, though, is you're dealing with people that are essentially children, and in fact, it's a really good. In fact, the metaphor of children fits in pretty good for the whole thing, because what I believe right now is we're going through the rebirth of man. We're coming out of being a child, and we're becoming, man again. We're this is where all these numbers pop up, like 16, 18, 21, coming of age years. So it's interesting that we could use this metaphor of like these zombies are basically children, and you need to treat them like children. Very simple explanations, of why, why that doesn't make sense. You just keep on. You just have to keep on and on and on. I was teaching my daughter. We were doing just basic math skills. Just simple stuff like 7 plus 3, 7 plus 4, 5 plus 5. All these little basic things. And you're like, been doing it for a year now, and we don't seem to be improving. But then all of a sudden something will click. Yeah. So you're not gonna. It's like people that say, well, you won't wake somebody up. Well, you won't wake somebody up by just simply telling them something and expect them to wake up. It's a constant, showing them the facts constantly. One day it will click, but it ain't just going to click. It might for some people just click like that, but very rarely does it just click just like that. It's a constant, just repetition. That's how we all got into that state in the first place. Was the constant repetition of the the indoctrination, the mind control, the brainwashing. That's how people get brainwashed, is the constant, repetitive, repeat the same crap over and over and over and over again. This is why people repeat what's on the news all the time. because they have the same crap on the news all the time. They repeat the same. If there's a story there that they want somebody to go out and preach for them, it's on the TV all the time. Yeah, it's in the programming all the time. And so expecting to wake somebody up, I hate to say it, wake somebody up, but expecting people just to wake up, it's not a process that's just going to happen, right? Anyway, I get completely off track here, but so it's little things constantly that are going to change the situation, and you've got to treat these people like children, right? They're basically drug addicts, yeah? This is what we're all addicted to the system. I'm an addict. I'm addicted to the things that have been put there by the system, and I'm completely addicted to those things. And I'm trying, but willpower alone is probably not going to solve the problem. Interesting, the guy's name was Will Pals. But willpower alone will not solve that problem. I don't think it will in some cases where people have a lot of willpower. But what you've got to remember is what you're trying to do is you are trying to fix somebody that is in a broken system, yeah? The body creates all those wants and desires, yeah? It creates the ego, yeah? And that ego is the drive to go out and get those things, those wants and desires, right? I did a video back. You can go back and look at that video. It explains it pretty good. And so when you take the physical body out of the system that it's supposed to be in, which is nature, and put it in the man-made matrix, yeah, it's not balanced anymore. There's nothing balancing its consumption, yeah. So you have the body in a toy store or a candy store, yeah. The toy store, like I talked about on that last video, was Toys R Us, and we saw that collapse, yeah. And that's what the system does. It gives you all the little toys that you want. Again, like the child, giving the the toys to the child, keeping it happy, that's got to end, right? And that's the problem. We've got to stop feeding those addictions. We've got to stop feeding the which is the beast, yeah. That's the addictions. So we've got to stop feeding that thing, right? And so this is what was naive about this guy's talk, is the very thing that he's complaining about. He's a part of the creation of those assholes that were complaining on his videos about him buying stuff from China. He's very much into his technology, this guy. That's the very thing that creates the system. That's the very thing that creates those zombie assholes. Is your partakement in that system, yeah, and our own partakement in the system. So we've got to stop doing it. Stop partaking. That's what we've got to stop doing. But more than that, what we've done is we've created a problem that we need to clean up as well. It's our responsibility as well to try to do a bit of the cleanup on this. So what do? There's several ways of curing the situation. You just take everything away, cold turkey, the flood, the deluge, wash everything away and start again. That'd be a good way of doing it. But what we've got to do is we've got to create a support system, which is, funnily enough, is what drug addicts do. They have, when you see drug addicts trying to get clean, what do they have? They have a group where they go to meet, and they help one another along. You're not going to get out of the system on willpower alone, because what you're trying to deal with is you're dealing with a body, right? So 50% of the energy is the body, and then the other 50% of the energy is what's created up here, the metaphysical spirit side of the body. And that thing's not only got so the spirit has now got to fight, right, basically fight the body. It's basically got to say no to the body all the time. Yeah. So that's your willpower to say, no, you can't have this and you can't have that piece of chocolate there. And so the next problem is, right, when that thing gets run down, when that willpower gets run down, when the spiritual side of the body has to deal with the rest of the matrix, and all the chaos that's out there that's got to deal with extra, it simply doesn't have the energy to then deal with, saying no to the body, and so the body wins out, and the body's going to win out every time because the body is designed to be balanced with nature. What you're doing is your own willpower has got to overcome those desires, which it never was intended to do in the first place, right? If we can understand that, your conscious spirit, your soul, your essence, right, was never, I don't think, was ever designed to deal with that process. Yeah, because the body is obviously designed to go along with nature. It's obviously designed to live in the world of nature. So why would you design the spirit with the energy to overcome or to take the place of nature? Let's put it that way. Yeah, and to do the I want to say, what does nature do? Trying to think of a good word here. It regulates the body, right? And now, so the spirit is now having to try and regulate the body, which it was never designed to do, because, originally the body would have been in nature. What would be the point of designing the spirit to regulate the body? I don't know. Maybe as a backup plan. Maybe God could have done that. I don't know. But then, of course, we wouldn't be in this place now. If that was the case, if that was the case, we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in now. So obviously, it doesn't regulate the body. Otherwise, we'd all be doing much better anyway. So the problem is we're all addicted, as I've said before, and how do we stave off that addiction? We're not going to stave it off by simply saying, well, you're an addict and just stop doing it. That's not going to work. So what Will Powles was saying was, just get off your ass and stop whining. Although factually it's correct, it's not actually going to change anything. It might make us feel better about, tell them what to do, but it's not actually going to change anything, is it? It's not actually going to solve the problem. It's not actually addressing what the problem really is. What created the problem? We're looking at a symptom, but we're not looking at the problem again, like what doctors do in this country and probably most developed countries, is they simply give you something to get rid of the symptoms. Yeah. So unfortunately, Will wasn't given anything that would get rid of the symptoms either, and it wouldn't fix the root problem either. So it was a pretty pointless exercise, apart from the fact that that's the way people feel. There are a lot of over entitled people. There are a lot of lazy people out there. But what you have to do is you have to remember you're not in their shoes either. If you had the exact same genetics as that guy, that's bugging you, that's lazy, at your work, if you had the exact same genetics, i.e. you were born into his body, you'd be in the exact same predicament. I know people like to think that somehow their spirit is different, but that's not what I believe. I believe we're at the root core. It's exactly the same spirit running through every single one of us. And the only thing that makes us different is the set of eyes that we view the world through. Yeah. That's the only thing that makes us different. So essentially, what your genetics are. Yeah. And of course, what goes along with that is then the um, experiences that you have in the world. You know, but obviously, if you're in a shitty situation to begin with, excuse my French, but if you're in a bad situation to begin with, and you have good genetics, you might end up, exactly, well, I say exactly where you want to be, or if you're in a rubbishy situation and your body is programmed to go in a certain direction as well, you could end up somewhere else, but what I do believe as well is that, again, if you go back to if you look at the way God works, everything is balanced, right? So whether you want to believe it or not, I know we all have different genetics, but what God has done is okay, I might be a little bit taller than that guy over there, who's, but that guy over there might, I don't know, maybe he's stronger than me, maybe he's got more muscles and he can do something that I can't do, but I can reach to the top shelf like he can't, Do you know what I mean? Everything balances, everything, to do with men is balanced at conscious level. So what you're saying, so you might look in the mirror and say, well, that guy over there's got this, that guy over there's got that, but what you're not doing is you're not looking in the mirror and saying, hang on a minute, God is completely balanced. I know that I am that guy's equal, and I'm that guy's equal. If you can't get to that point, I don't know. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about now. But yeah, just to recap, these people, the zombie nation, the Agent Smiths of the world, very rarely. I mean, sometimes they're going to need they are, if they're kids, there is a potential that they might need a smack bottom every once in a while. You know what I mean? Yeah, you might get somebody that oversteps the mark. And I mean, we're well within our rights to protect ourselves when it comes to protecting our physical being. You're well within your rights to protect. If somebody's going to harm your physical being, you're well within your rights to do that, to protect yourself. But we've got to approach the situation with a little bit more compassion than just saying they need to stop doing that. Yeah, this is a problem that has been created by everybody, not just the theys at the top. Although the theys at the top are kind of very annoying. It's a problem that's been created by everybody, and so it's a problem that we really should all take a little bit of responsibility in trying to solve. And you're not going to retrain an old dog in 2 minutes. You're not going to teach a kid in 2 seconds how to do long multiplication. It's just not going to happen like that. It's going to be a long process, and it's going to seem like we're not getting anywhere. But what will happen? I mean, you just observe stuff in the real world, and it tells you what will happen. I observe my kids. I homeschool my kids, and what happens is, after a while, it just suddenly click, and all of a sudden you've got a concert pianist, but you're not going to learn the piano, you're not going to teach those guys the piano straight away. I don't want to talk about teaching piano, I don't know nothing about piano, but it's that idea, if you learn a musical instrument, you struggle with it for ages, and then at some point it should click. And it's the same with the kids, teaching them maths or whatever, at some point it clicks and they get it, and that's, the awakening, and so we've got to treat these people with compassion because they don't know anything else. They're just children. They're just repeating what I say mummy and daddy, big brothers told them. So what do? You can't just, that's it. I'm just gonna slap everybody. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Um, some understanding and patience is what's going to work in the long run. And you know, where you understand what the world is, there's nothing. I say this before, but there's nothing really to be fearful of. Okay, if some bad people get a hold of you, it might suck, but there's nothing really to be afraid of at the end of the day. And that's about having total faith. I don't know how to explain that to people. Um, I think that's probably a good place to finish the video. Yeah, a little bit of compassion for those people that are still stuck there. And I mean, we can call the Bill Gates of the world names, and we can, you know, the Elon Musks and all the rest of it, and they are idiots, but they're basically little children that don't know any better. And that's what we're dealing with. Have some. I guess that's what old Jesus would say. You gotta have a bit of compassion, But you need to be firm though. When it's just like a child. You've got to be, Sometimes you've got to be firm, but there's other times, you've got to show, if you just go in there like the brutal headmaster whipping everybody, it's not going to work, you know. And again, if you go in there all airy fairy and be like, oh, new agey and love's gonna save the day and all this stuff, it was great and everything, but I don't think that's gonna work either. Again, we're back to balance again. We're gonna have a little bit of a firm hand occasionally with a child, but you've got to respect that child. You've got to show it the way rather than just saying you need to do that and oh dear. Anyway, enough for that video. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm going to do a video actually about an upcoming date. 8/10, the 10th of August. An interesting date for sure. Actually, the 7th of August as well. And I'll have to get round to that here in the next couple of days. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and like I said, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. All right, bye.